And yeah, there we go. And we are live with another episode of the Keeg Talks. Today, the Keeg Talks, Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, the new Dungeons and Dragons movie that will hopefully spark a franchise. I'm your host, Dimithri Perera. And if you're watching the live stream, you can see us. You can see me, you can see my guests, and you're watching us on twitch.tv/The Keeg Show or youtube.com/The Keeg Show. Or if you're listening to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast from, maybe you can't see who the guests are. So let me introduce them both. First time guest on the podcast itself, we got Habitz, aka Habitz.
Thank you.
Your username is your name.
Right. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
How's everyone doing?
I'm glad to have you on because it's been a long time coming, and we met in person at C2E2 in Chicago, and
Sure did.
It was then I was like, okay, I gotta get Habitz on something. I'm glad you're here.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
I'm very curious, and I mean we'll go over it in a little bit. Everybody's like Dungeons and Dragons experience, but like. I'm very curious. Animator, the animator. Cam, how you doing?
Hey, hi, hello. I'm doing well. We also met in person for the first time at C2E2. So I feel like this is a little C2E2 reunion. I'm here for it.
Yeah. It was really cool seeing like people that I've never met in person. In real life. It's weird. You guys don't live in the internet?
No, the rent's too high, so can't afford.
Have you ever tried buying a domain? You know, on the so
I'm not that professional.
I'm afraid not.
It's expensive.
My own taxes. I use TurboTax. I'm not a fully fledged adult, I fear.
Do you go to turbotaxsucksass.com?
No.
It's not a joke. It's a real thing.
Wait, what?
You're not doing a bit?
No, it's not a bit. I guess before we go into Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, I guess we'll talk taxes. So basically, the government originally wanted tax companies to provide low-income alternatives to filing your taxes. And the government was originally going to say, like, blanket statement, the government was going to do a tax service. But then all these tax companies were like, no, don't worry, trust us. We'll do it for the low-income people.
Trust me, bro.
Why haven't you taken advantage of TurboTax, their low-income thing? It's because they say it's a set way, and then they start charging you. So there's a way to go around it. You got to go to turbotaxsucksass.com, which was started by Hassan Minhaj. Hassan Minhaj made TurboTax Sucks Ass to link you to the correct, like, underground TurboTax thing that you can then do for free.
I haven't done my taxes yet. I'm gonna do this.
I know, me taking notes.
There are supposed to be free tax alternatives, and they try to hide it. So TurboTax
happened.
TurboTax
Sucks Ass.
But then everything changed when the TurboTax Nation attacked.
Yeah.
Taxes in the U.S. Don't get me started on the taxes in the U.S. I've looked into. I really want to get citizenship back in Norway, and I can't. U.S. citizenship requires you to continue paying taxes even if you don't live here or have a job here. It's
really?
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
You're
I think it's like only like 3 other countries in the world do that. Like it costs money to renounce your U.S. citizenship. It's goofy.
Talking about taxes, all of us have different D&D experience. I do have a tax question about D&D. Well, easy question is, what is everybody's experience with D&D? Habitz. I'll let you go first.
So mine is very easy. I have absolutely no experience with D&D. I just went to go see the movie because, like, it's very rare when, like, a movie is being talked about, like, to this, like, kind of, in this kind of way where, like, almost every single person had nothing bad to say about this movie.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, me kind of hearing about this, I was like, okay, well, it's at least worth, like, one watch, if anything. And I really love the movie. So that's about all the knowledge I have.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
I'm glad to have you. in escalating fashion, I have a little bit more experience with D&D. I've only played one campaign, but when it comes to tabletop RPGs, I used to play Call of Cthulhu, Pulp Cthulhu expansion. If you were watching the Keeg during 2020, end of 2020, we did a season, like a live streamed season of Call of Cthulhu. Horrible production value. Well, great production value, ambitious production value, but some things fell apart, you know. As things
do. Let me run a game for you, or find somebody to run a game for you.
Cam, if you ran a game,
South Park.
What'd you say, Habitz?
Is it bad that I only know who Cthulhu is because of South Park?
No, because I mean, I found out about Scientology and their beliefs through South Park, so you know.
Honestly, one of the better ways to find out about Scientology.
Through South Park.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of understanding about Dungeons and Dragons, but then, you know, obviously I didn't get huge into it. I would like to play more, but again, escalating. Cam, what's your experience with Dungeons and Dragons?
I have a lot. I've been playing D&D for now like 4 or 5 years, so I feel like comparison-wise timeline, it's not a whole lot, but I have thrown so many hours of my time into this and other TTRPGs. If you're interested in seeing me play Tabletop Tavern and also Heroes of Bastion are 2 TTRPG shows I am in. I've also been a part of a few charity streams, and I have DM'd my own, which is all the film is hidden away somewhere because it wasn't great production value.
That's fair.
But I've been with D&D for a long time, just because I fell in love with it so much, you know?
Yeah.
It's something that's like very dear to me, like as an activity, as like a storytelling medium. So going into the movie, I had a lot of high expectations.
I guess a question for all of us is that, like, when the trailer came out, did it look good or did it not look good?
I'm going to be really honest because I am a firm person who believes in living authentically. I was not gagged. I was not like over the... You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't watching the trailer like, oh my God, I need to see it. Yeah, like, just, you know, but to be honest, like, as I saw more, like, the actors in it and, like, kind of the fan reception, I was like, there has to be something there. Like, there has to be something if, like, because I'm telling you, like, I have a couple of friends who are just kind of, like, I don't want to call them movie snobs, but they're very particular when it comes to their movies. And I'm telling you, like, this was, like, across the board, just something that everyone liked. So, like, I don't know. And also, like, I kind of want
to... No, it's not loaded. I'm
like,
sorry.
What is, like, because I'm curious about it too.
Okay, so for me, and obviously this is a different answer for everybody. I was a theater kid, but I was like a background theater kid.
That's
wild. I know, I was in tech. So I designed stages and I did like lighting design. I was my main thing, I was a stage manager. So I was very into like storytelling from a young age, and my username, Caminator the Animator, comes from my initial career path, hopefully my future career path as well, where I just fell in love with film and like storytelling and all its mediums. I think it's the thing that makes us human, right? And D&D, when I got into it, it was such a unique form of it, and it was the thing that got me is how collaborative it was, and how like it's everybody honoring a character and fleshing them out completely instead of just like writing them off, because you see sometimes in movies and books and stuff characters that like, oh, they could have so much more, and like the fans love them and the fans give them more, but the creators themselves don't. Like, I think a great example is She Who Shall Not Be Named and Dumbledore like retroactively being gay.
Yeah,
like that's come on. But yeah, D&D I actually was talking about this in another D&D medium. I've been watching the Legend of Vox Machina TV show, and one of the things I love about it, and I noticed, and mind you, I did not watch like Critical Role Campaign 1 religiously. I've seen bits and pieces, but it's a lot to get through. But one of the things I loved about it is in the TV show, it really shows how much care and love each person put into the singular characters. Not just as a party, but like every single character has their own moments, has their own episodes, like has their own clear story arc that's like respected and honored. And I feel like if this story had begun in a D&D campaign, it probably wouldn't have shown that way in the TV show, you know? So that's why I love it. And I feel like going into the movie, I was expecting that level.
With the trailer, like, what did you think from the trailer? Like, what was your first, like, were you gagged? Were you living?
I was not gagged. And the later trailers and the later teasers, like, I remember when I first saw the, like, jokey teaser about them. Spoilers if you haven't seen this.
Hopefully everybody watching this has already seen the movie. This is, you know.
Hopefully.
People out there should be going and seeing it. Again, I've seen this twice. I saw it a couple weeks before it came out at Paramount. Thank you to Paramount. They did not pay me. Nothing was paid. It's just an honest critique of the movie. I must divulge that. And then I saw it again in Chicago.
Hey, you saw it with me in Chicago.
Yeah. And that's when
anyway.
that's when I got even more merch. Like I got merch at Paramount, and then I got the bucket and the
yeah, you did.
I seen that. You're doing a giveaway.
Yeah, that's from Paramount. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I feel like the trailer where they were showing them speaking to the dead man,
yeah,
and being like, oh, you can only ask 5 questions, that whole shebang. That was the thing that made me believe that this was in good hands.
Yeah.
Because I saw literally every single person.
It was the first clip they were.
I'm pretty sure because they did the owlbear thing separately, and everybody got up in arms about that. I could be wrong.
What were they up in arms about?
Because you technically can't wild shape into an owl bear, but like suspend your disbelief for a second. This is a fantasy world. Come on now.
I was like, I think that's a good segue into the next question. Oh wait, no, because it's the square head, right?
What?
I was gonna say, well, I was just gonna say that like that's weird because I feel kind of like conflicted now because that was like my favorite character in the movie.
Oh, the druid?
Yeah.
I think she was great. I liked her a lot.
Yeah.
I was very.
Let's talk about the movie real quick before we get into the nitty gritty of like why and where and how and all that stuff. Out of 10, what would you rate this movie? And just a quick blurb why. We're all used to it. We're all TikTokers that love to talk, right? So like
9 out of 10, slight pacing hiccup, but aside from that, 9 out of 10.
Okay.
I would say an 8 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like it was a very cute, like, feel-good movie. And I don't think every movie needs to be like Everything Everywhere All at Once, you know, level of amazingness. My one thing was there were some moments where it felt like it didn't go campy enough, you know? If that makes sense. Because I feel like D&D campaigns in general and the experience of playing the game, at least in recent years, and it shifted a lot from the initial like time that it was popular back in the 80s. But in recent years, it's been really beloved by like the queer community and by like people who are just not the traditional like straight white nerdy guys who are like kind of the old school fans.
Yeah.
And I would have liked a little more of the embracing of like the camp of it all, you know? because it's very fantasy driven. Obviously, it's D&D, and it's silly. And like, there are moments where I was like, yes, like Holga meeting her husband or her ex-husband. I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
There were a couple other where I was just like, you could have gone a little farther with this. You know, I still loved it. I still liked it, you know, but
I
could have been more.
First thing, I'm gonna agree with Ginger Snark, because Ginger Snark is watching. Ginger Snark gives it an 8.5 out of 10. Ginger Snark says it felt like an 80s fantasy movie, which she loves, with better CGI and practical effects.
I agree with that.
The practical effects in this was great. Like, they went practical a lot of the time, right? But I would say like 8.5. I don't know whether I feel like it's better than an 8. Definitely. I feel like 8 is strong. Yeah. 8 is still strong, but I feel like it's better than an 8 because I liked it enough. I saw it twice. I wanted to. It didn't feel like a chore. But then a 9 is too close to a 10, and I feel like I would love a sequel that is better. Like, I can look forward to that.
I can see a sequel being better.
Yeah.
See, I guess I always just go by like school system grading, where I'm like, what letter would I give this? And I'm just kind of like, I would give it an A. Like, I was really having to fight the urge to be like, no, Habitz, like, you don't have the money to go to the theater again. Like, you're good. You know what I mean? Like,
you're right.
If we're talking that, then I would give it an A.
I would give it an A.
Like, not even an A minus. I'd give it an A.
Yeah. But then a solid A is like 95%.
Yeah.
I thought it was, because a solid A is 95. Maybe like an A minus then.
A minus is a 90, right?
Yeah. A minus is a 90, yeah. I'd say like A minus A. But no, I get what you're saying though, where it was like you still want to see it again, so that's a factor in your grading.
It does, yeah.
You know, yeah.
I think the fact that like we're all rating it pretty high is like a really good thing, and the fact that like
it says
I don't know, we're all also coming at it from a different level of experience, which I think is good for the movie. Not all movies have that, you know? You can't jump into like, what's a movie that not everybody could jump into that came out recently?
I don't know about recently. I've tried jumping into Lord of the Rings and I just can't do it. That's why I was so about this. Like, I thought this was like literally when I was like, oh, D&D, it's going to be like Lord of the Rings, I guess. But then like I saw it and I was like, wait, but this is actually like, it's
fun.
Yeah,
that's the difference.
I loved how they chose to go that aspect of it, and they didn't take themselves seriously.
Yeah.
That was an aspect that I loved. I feel like movie recently that you can't just... I went and saw Ant-Man Quantumania, and I'm like...
You didn't like it?
I like Marvel. I liked it fine enough.
Uh-huh.
Michael Douglas makes it for me just because I love anything he's in.
Interesting.
He's a wonderful person.
Huh.
I'm also like a big fan of like Kirk Douglas, his dad.
Wait, Kirk Douglas was problematic, right?
Kirk Douglas, was he problematic?
Is he the one who
Was he problematic? Wait.
Kirk Douglas problematic, typing it into Google.
Literally. If you can hear my keyboard, it's because that's what Dimithri gave me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Kirk Douglas. That was Kirk. Yeah.
Apparently
if you look,
it was fuck.
Look up Kirk Douglas and Natalie Wood. It is not good.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could strike Kirk Douglas out of there, and then Michael Douglas. You know.
I'm a fan of the golden age of Hollywood. I'm a fan of old movies.
That's fair.
And I say old loosely. But I mean, Quantumania. It was just like it was good on its own, but I feel like you can't enjoy it as much if you aren't a fan of the MCU and if you're not a fan of superheroes.
Yeah.
But with the D&D movie, I mean, Habitz, you know, speaking from you, do you feel like you could enjoy it, like, despite inexperience with the...
I felt like I really could enjoy it, and I felt like they did a good job of kind of explaining, like, how the universe works, the rules of it, the limitations of it, like... You know what I mean? Like, I think they did a really solid job. Like, I was very, like I'd have a question, and then a couple moments would pass, and they literally would explain it. So I would, you know what I mean?
I didn't even think of that, but yeah, they did do that. Yeah.
That was like, because, you know, I guess maybe it's like, because we're coming at it from two different angles, you know, like, I know nothing. So I'm, like, walking in trying to make sure I'm just, like, understanding the plot. But, like, I think they did a good job. Because I went with my partner too, and they also like understood everything and got it, and we know nothing about D&D.
That's a good
It's
like
really
aspect
accessible.
of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the exact word. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Ginger
beautiful.
Snark out there says her husband has never played D&D and knows only the very basics of it, and he loved it. He missed a few jokes / Easter eggs, but overall enjoyed it very much. What I liked,
yeah.
what I liked a lot about this movie, and this is gonna sound like a knock, but I feel like it's good to know. How do I put this? Okay. The golden age of Tumblr. Do I start from there? Do I start from there? No. Okay. So like Tumblr used to have like all those
writing intro down. He said, "Let me hook you in."
Oh my god! You just gave me war flashbacks.
I feel like there have been a lot of people, and especially how do I do this? A lot of people write their own fan fiction. There's fan fiction, then there's like headcanon, there's all this stuff, right? So everybody kind of had an idea on like what would a D&D movie be like all these jokes that people have thrown out, just like people have done like the whole thing like, oh, Guardians of the Galaxy seems like a D&D campaign that the Avengers are playing. Like, have you heard that? Like somebody had...
I haven't, but I agree with that sentiment.
And so it's like... I get it. Like, it's fun, right? Like, when we're dealing with fandom on that level, like, it's super fun. But, like, I'm glad that this movie didn't do, like, break the fourth wall, show that people are playing those characters. I'm glad they didn't pull those kind of tropes. You get what I mean?
I do get what you mean. I saw somebody's review of it, and they said that though it didn't like show the players or anything, and they were grateful for that. I also, side note, I'm really grateful they didn't have any cameos from large D&D creators.
Yeah.
I know that might not be a popular opinion, but I feel like it would have taken me out of the fantasy of it all.
Yeah.
But no, I saw somebody say like, you couldn't tell that they're obviously like there was like a fourth wall break, but it still felt a little bit like, oh, these are moments that a D&D campaign would actually have. They said the Jarnathan thing.
Jarnathan.
Which is one of my favorite moments. The practical effects on that were wild too.
Yeah.
I loved that they did practical effects on that.
Did I send you the link to, or did I tag you in the...
You did.
The bird fully spreads his wings?
Yeah.
In like...
You sent me that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the names themselves don't break the fourth wall, but the names seem like somebody would like make them up. Because like Michelle Rodriguez's character is Holga. Holga just sounds like Helga and Olga put together to be Holga. And that
the
is just her
rogue is
name.
Forge.
What'd you say?
The rogue is named Forge.
Yeah.
The evil guy.
It's just like... there's just a bunch of kind of funny names, and it's not like Lord of the Rings where they're trying to be very serious when they name their characters, and like they're not supposed to be joke names. D&D has that level of levity to it, right?
It does. It's one of those things where like you can be a little tongue-in-cheek, but most people aren't gonna like be so on the nose. But I loved the level where it's like this can be a real name, but also a name like Jarnathan, that's just a twist on Jonathan.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think the point was like them going into this movie being like, we're gonna make a movie. We're not making a live action D&D game. We're making a movie. Like people online had said like, what if the whole party or half the party died, but then the actors came back as different characters to then join the party, because that's like what you would do in a game, right? Like the player will have a different character, and so it'll be Chris Pine in a mustache playing a different character. But like, I'm glad they didn't do that, because it wasn't a game.
Yeah, I am too.
It was a movie.
I feel like it would put too much of a line in the sand between people who understand D&D and people who don't.
Yeah, and it would be too similar to. What's that?
Like, I guess I just personally, in terms of like a movie, I wouldn't really have enjoyed that, just because like I feel like in this movie they did a good job of getting you to care about the characters, like Holga, and I'm blanking on the main character's name now, but he was cool. Edgin, right? With the whole thing with his daughter and his wife, like they really made you kind of like care for them in a way. Like when you saw the whole thing with Holga and her husband, and like he's talking about like I tried to make you a home, but you could never like accept it, type of thing. Like I don't. That's what I'm saying. Like things like that you can't help but just kind of be like, damn. Like I feel for both of you in this situation because like I get where you're both coming from.
I think they
played it real.
Yeah,
right.
I think
which
is
so interesting from something
moment.
like Dungeons and Dragons.
What was Cam saying?
I loved how each of them got their moments. I mean, Simon with facing his ancestors later revealed to be himself, and like the Edgin with obviously the wife and child. I almost thought that would be a bit at first when he was going through it. I was like, oh, is this a lie to like charm out of his way out of it? But the fact that it was sincere and that the bard wasn't just like a jokey like, oh, I'm gonna have sex with everybody was great for me, because I'm like, I love a bard that's not like that. One of the bards I play is just an awkward theater kid who's like really self-absorbed, and I love that. So I'm glad to not see a slutty bard.
Are you? Oh no, I feel like you're gonna hate my bard when if we ever play together.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay. I understand some bards are slutty.
I mean, yes, yeah. Let's just say that only some of my characters are slutty when I play TTRPGs. Let's just say that some of them are.
I made a very slutty wizard, which was a great time.
Ooh.
Yeah. That wasn't a filmed campaign, but God, it could have been. It's a great one. But anyway, no. I love your comment, Habitz, about each of them having their own moments. You know.
I guess that like I'm kind of curious now if it's cool with like Dimithri, like because it's like I know you have so much experience, so I guess I'm interested in knowing like what is your favorite character like from the movie, like or.
Ooh, each of them were good, but the one that stood out to me was Holga. Because Holga in a lot of ways played a little bit into the like, oh, a little bit dumb barbarian trope. But one thing I liked is that dumb didn't mean a lack of social awareness or a lack of emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And I love that because there are different kinds of intelligence, and a lot of people are just like barbarians or idiots, which no hate to people who play it that way, because oftentimes like intelligence or wisdom are their dump stats. But I loved seeing the like complex relationship with her ex-husband and how she feels about him, and also her relationship with Edgin's daughter, especially, where like there are moments where she was just like, oh, you're saying something silly, but she was like, you could see where she was how she was understanding the situation, and it didn't really portray her as like, oh, she's just a dumbass all the time, which I loved. I liked the layers of her character as a mother figure, as someone who was in a relationship that didn't work but didn't hold like
against them.
Animosity towards their ex. I love that shit. That is because that is a relationship type that is not shared. Not everybody hates their ex.
I feel like she also had a good understanding of like a bit of humility, like a bit of like maybe I don't know it all, or maybe you know what I mean? Because like I guess like for me, the one where she won me over was like she was a cool character because I love Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Like I love her. So like I guess like I was when she won me over was when she was like, you used it on me. Like why'd you do that? Like I was just like, girl, you're gonna be putting people ahead of yourself the whole time, but we know it's because you love us.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the scene with her and Bradley Cooper because they didn't make tiny jokes.
No.
Did you notice that? Like in that scene,
I did notice that. Yeah.
It wasn't like I I feel like a comedic director would have had like 30 seconds of Bradley Cooper trying to struggle to get up on a chair. Like, I feel like another director would have done that. And that would have been a joke.
And it had that little moment where it was like, oh, this is surprising. And like, that's kind of funny. But it was never like at his expense.
No.
Right.
You know?
It's just, he likes his tall women, you know?
Which I think works because like in D&D campaigns, you're not constantly making like short jokes at the halfling's expense.
Right.
You just accept them. That's just part of the world.
Something that I think that it was very interesting that you mentioned, Cam, earlier is how there are a lot of people from marginalized communities in our world who play D&D. And like, why is it popular, and why has it proven to be like really popular with this, with those groups of people?
I feel like okay. Speaking from experience, but also like on a larger like sociological viewpoint, fantasy is more than just, oh, let's see what happens. It's an idea of how you want the world to be. And sometimes that includes like, you need to acknowledge in some way the terrible bits of the world and then show how you can fight them. You know, I think Lord of the Rings is a great example where there's like this like evil there, and then there's the belief that, hey, you can fight it. Or Chronicles of Narnia is also a good one where the writer's, you know, religious beliefs played deeply into how he wrote it. And I think the connection with marginalized groups in particular and fantasy is because the real world is often a unique kind of harshness, and the experiences you have make you so hyper aware of everything around you because you're constantly looking out for stuff, and almost like, I don't want to say constantly on edge, but like a little bit. And I'm speaking as my experience as a femme presenting person, where like I move through the world and I have to be like hyper aware of like, is this person meaning me harm? Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that's the case for a lot of marginalized identities. But in a fantasy world, you can explore the idea of that might happen, but I have the power.
Right? People who think they're the center of the world. And I feel like that's a very specific type of person. Whatever game, tabletop, like that's something different that's not always allowed to people. Like that's the only place some of us get to live out main character, you know?
Yeah.
Or not even necessarily main character, but like the ability to support your loved ones if you feel quite powerless in supporting them in person. If there's things that you can't control.
I have a friend who's non-binary. They're really, really knowledgeable. JT and Mighty Z talk about this a lot, where like people of color oftentimes in these like fantasy stories, they don't, I think both of you kind of said it, like just, but it's like such a basic thing, like not even being a main character, but just the privilege to exist in those worlds. Like think to like Lord of the Rings and how like much backlash they got because suddenly like people of color were in the show. You know what I mean? Like it's like just solely existing. Like I think back to Miles Morales, the Spider-Man, where like again, new character solely existing as a POC, like people just don't like it. Like, and it's I don't know, I could definitely
it's so fucking goofy.
It is very goofy. It's very goofy. Like I could see the appeal where like finally you're like I can be a part of the fantasy and like no one can take it away from me, or it's not like up for debate.
Yeah.
Where your existence doesn't have to be like questioned in the media, even if fans are assholes about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Particular Marvel fans. No offense to Dimitri.
Is it? Are you talking about me specifically? No.
No, I said in particular Marvel fans.
Yeah. No, I know. Did you guys say who your favorite characters were?
I better not see you tweeting out MCU later, Dimitri.
How dare you? What? I'm here to support everyone right now. including the incels out there. So there are good people on all sides. Habitz.
Stop. Please. It's giving, if we kick every Latino out of this country, who's going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump? It's giving.
Oh, no. So you coming in at this with kind of like fresh eyes to the thing, were there things that were confusing? Are there things that you still don't understand?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert on the thing, so yeah. Right. I kind of, wait, are we talking about our criticisms? Or
no, I mean, just in general about the movie, like you coming in with like limited knowledge on Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they did okay. Like, I don't think that if someone were to tell me, like, name the characters they are and, like, everything, I would be able to do it. But, I mean, I know how their, like, abilities more or less work. Like, how, like, I wasn't confused by, like, the sorcerer thing where, like, in the beginning he wasn't able to do a lot. And then at the end he, like, figured it out. Like, that didn't confuse me. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah, for the most part.
I think they purposely did it that way, right? Like, they want everybody to be able to watch this movie. And again, I was surprised at how much I liked this movie. And like, I think like, I always compare it to my mom. Because like, my mom, you know, is an open-minded person. But like, she doesn't tend to like very fantastical stuff. Like, if stuff is too far out there, she's just like, I can't watch this, you know? So... But, like, I'm trying to think of, like, whether this movie would be something that, like, she could jump into as just, you know, someone who doesn't necessarily like the genre. Do you have to like fantasy to like this movie?
I don't know. I haven't really jumped into too much fantasy.
Yeah.
What do you think, Cam?
Cam's away right now, so it's just you and I. I'm grilling you now.
Oh, okay. I was like, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I would say like if you're not super heavy into fantasy, like, you could totally do it. I mean, like that would probably be like something I could recommend because like it was goofy and funny enough that I could totally see like how somebody jumping into it could like it.
You just have to understand that like magic exists. Right?
Right.
And other non-human creatures exist. And there's not too many of them, but every so often they'll pop up with like some other species, right? The other race of creature. But like for the most part, you gotta believe in, like, you gotta know that magic exists and that there are other creatures. And that's it. Like, you just kind of walk into this movie being like, okay, it'll explain the rest.
Yeah.
You know? It takes place in another world. I think it's you know, good. Who was your favorite character? Your favorite character was the druid?
Yeah, the girl that was like turning into animals and stuff. She was cool.
What was her name? It's Doric. Doric was her name.
Was that her name?
I think so. I think Doric was her name. But do you like It? Did you watch the It movies?
Oh, the new like. You're talking about with what's his name? Bill Skarsgård?
Yeah.
Skarsgård?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I popped in and I immediately knew. I just want to say, amazing.
So this.
Let's shoot my own horn, but damn.
The girl who plays Doric was in the It movies, the two newest ones. Sophia Lillis is her name.
In it? She was in. Who was she?
She's the girl.
She was Beverly.
There's one girl in the whole damn thing.
Yeah, hold on. Wait, Dimitri's right.
What?
Sorry. I feel silly.
That'd be like if I said, "Oh yeah, there was one girl. There was one girl and there was one black kid. That was it." Like
there's another girl.
Stephen King doesn't give great representation.
No.
Also, what are we expecting?
You know,
from Stephen King.
It is what it is.
I will say that I did like her in the movie just because it was probably like my favorite part was like the way that it was just really creative. Like when she was like going from like a fly and then a snake and then into like the owl bear, like, because when I initially saw her, I was like, okay, like what are they gonna do with that? Like how useful could that really be? And then she shut me right up because I was like, oh no, like now I was like, I want like animal shaping powers too now, because that looks like so much fun. Like the way like
druids are basically gods.
That's crazy.
I would.
And then she had a little like, I'm a sucker for anything that resembles like a bow and arrow. So the little like
slingshot
she had on her
slingshot.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. The little magic missile moment, or
like that would work. Like I love that.
I feel like it was the closest to Beast Boy that we've ever gotten on in movies or TV. Because Beast Boy in the Titans show is useless. They don't do anything with it. That show sucks. But like,
I love your passion on that.
I'm a huge Titans fan. Like from the comics, from the cartoon. Like I'm a huge Titans fan.
If you like Teen Titans, you should check out the mask game that I'm in. Heroes of Bastion.
You can plug your shows if you want.
Inspired.
I think that nothing they did with Beast Boy could never compare to how awful Raven's wig is in that show.
I mean, there's a lot of bad things in that show. Yes,
that hateful
the
wig.
Costume design alone.
Yeah,
wig that is not even plucked.
I wanted like Beast Boy.
I wanted Beast Boy to be cool.
Can you hear me?
You're
there.
Like,
you are. There you are.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, cool. So what I was trying to say is I wanted Beast Boy to like fly up as a bird, or Beast Boy has flown up like a bird, turned into a blue whale, and like squashed, right? Like, I was thinking she would do something like that.
Okay, yeah, I see that. But also, do we know that blue whales exist in this fantasy
I don't know.
world?
I don't know.
I don't know. One of my favorite things about TTRPGs is when a player randomly mentions something that they think exists, like Venmo, or like
Venmo,
Google, or I played a lot of modern settings, and then the DM like has this like exasperated, I guess it exists now. I can imagine that for a blue whale.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure there's like a sea serpent, right? It'd be like that. I'm afraid of sea serpents.
It can turn into a sea serpent, but they can't turn into an owl bear.
What's so special about an owl bear?
Not according to some people. Because it's not technically an animal, it's a monster. But like, come on.
Okay. Aren't humans the real monsters? You know?
Actually,
I'm not gonna lie. It seems like I loved how in this movie the enemy was kind of still capitalism, and I kind of lived. Like,
we still hate rich people,
right?
Ginger Snark out there. At this point, I should have just invited Ryan onto the show. At this point, like I didn't know Ryan was free tonight. Thank you for watching, Ryan. Ginger Snark says the Paladin was her favorite character. Can't remember the name. Oh, Zenk. And she just looked it up. Zenk was Roger Jean Paul, right? Roger Jean Page. Yeah. Roger Jean Page.
Roger Jean Page.
Everybody loves Roger Jean Page. I get it. He might have been my favorite though. He was like a noble. Okay. He was like a noble. Like, okay, him and Holga reminded me of Drax, but in different ways. Like Drax from Guardians.
I liked. I'm sorry, Habitz, you were saying.
Oh, I was gonna ask what you guys thought about Simon.
Oh, I'll get actually into that too. So Simon, I loved the insecurity attached to his character. One, because he's so young, but two, because I loved the having to get over yourself aspect of it that was so literal. And I loved how they specifically made him, he's a good sorcerer when he needs to be. When like there is when it's literally life or death. Because I think that's the case with a lot of people where they either don't believe or they don't trust themselves or they put stuff off until it's absolutely necessary and then they show up. Ask any neurotypical kid who is really good at tests and really terrible at homework.
That was
yeah. Shout out to so many students I know. But what was I saying?
But look at us now. Look at us now.
How they, yeah, look at us now.
They said stay off the internet, don't talk to strangers on the internet, but I knew what was good for me.
Exactly. But then our good Bridgerton fellow, I know he wants to be known for more than that, so I feel bad calling him that. Our good Zedek. I loved how there was the opposite almost, where like there's this assuredness and like I'm gonna be great at everything. But then it almost reminded me, I don't know if you have ever seen Dimension 20. Specifically, oh God.
I need to watch their stuff.
Fantasy High. It's very good. But one of the ways that the DM, Brendan Lee Mulligan, deals with high elves in Fantasy High is making them like so silly noble that they're like unrealistic and like goofy and just uncomfortable to be around.
We're talking like very aristocratic, like
yeah,
ooh,
like aristocratic, but like Habsburg aristocratic. We're like, oh, they're deeply stupid and inbred.
Is it like what's his Lemon Grab? Is it like from Adventure Time?
Lemon Grab from Adventure Time. That's a perfect. Yeah, that's a perfect comparison.
I don't know much about Adventure Time, but I know enough to get by.
Neither.
Zenik reminded me of that, where it was like, yeah, you're great at everything, but also you're the like just absolute goofiest person. Where like you don't know what the real world is like at all. You just move through the world doing your thing, and like people give you adoration, and then you're just like,
you know what he seems like? He seems like the type of beautiful person in real life that's like, wait, you guys don't all get into clubs for free? People don't buy you guys drinks?
I can't.
Actually, oh my God. I feel kind of embarrassing being like, yes, there, because when we were hanging out, I got us so many things for free by accident.
You did. I
swear it's not usually like that, though.
You were coasting that night. You were just like,
I don't know why. I got us free shots. I got us free food at the movie theater.
I mean, we all got. I mean, yeah.
I think we all got free drinks.
Okay. I think we all.
Right.
No, but I completely understand what you're saying. Where they're just like, you don't do that, or like the rich people who are like, you don't ski.
Yeah, exactly. Like, wait, why do you have to stay home and like, why do you have to clean your house? Like, don't you have a housekeeper? Like,
oh my God.
You know.
Why do you have to babysit your younger siblings? Do you not have a nanny?
Yeah, that's okay. Zenk has the best quotes. I'm looking it up right now. Irony is a blade that cuts he who wields it most especially. Like his quote on irony is so funny. He had the best.
I love his little like tisms where he's just like, yes.
Yeah.
And he says the randomest like fake deep thing.
Yeah.
His personality was the best thing ever. Ginger Snark, I agree.
Yeah. Hugh Grant needs to be. We need to appreciate Hugh Grant.
He's so good at playing an asshole, but like a charming asshole. That's another thing with this movie. I feel like all the actors, they cast it so well because all the actors, it was like their typical character types, but like it was still so fun. Like you could tell that they were like, yeah, give you room to play with it, but I know what you're comfortable with. Hugh Grant was a great example of that.
He does play lovable assholes. Like
he does play lovable assholes.
That's
Bridget
like
Jones'
a lot of his
Diary?
characters. Yeah. Love Actually.
Love Actually.
Right. Isn't he a lovable asshole in About a Boy.
Is he? I've never seen that.
I think
Hugh Grant.
I think he plays a lovable asshole in that. He tends to play lovable assholes because I think in real life, I think he is a lovable asshole.
He does seem like kind of a dick, I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, he cheated on Liz Hurley with a prostitute.
I forgot about that. Who the fuck? I remember watching Liz Hurley in the movie with Brendan Fraser where she's bedazzled. And I felt so many things in that movie. But how could Hugh Grant how could anybody cheat on Liz Hurley? I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a deeper thing we can talk about for hours. That's a relationship podcast. So
what did you guys think about the portal like powers that they displayed here? Because I love them.
The hither dither? What was it called? Hither dither?
Yeah, I think it's hither dither. I don't know. I had a speech impediment as a kid. Don't ask me to do that.
I loved it. Like, I loved the way, and that was kind of like something I was touching on before. It was like the limitations and the way that they were like, if the portal like is on the floor, there's nothing we can, or like they kind of like they were like chipping at it with a little knife. But
yeah,
I thought that was really smart. Like, that's something you wouldn't consider with portal powers. Like, that was really well done.
I like that too, where it was that realistic, like, yeah, magic is there, but it doesn't solve all your problems. And they reinforce that a lot of ways. But the portal is a great way to put it, especially. I loved how they came up with plans too. Like, all as a party, it showed them being like, okay, everybody contributed.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like it when magic has rules.
What I love the most about this movie though was the way that from start to finish, like, it narratively just worked. Like, the whole giving back the wealth to the people, the whole like blue dragonfly thing where like it's like you don't need to catch it, just let it go, and then he moves on from that and like brings back Holga. Like, it was just narratively so good. Like, I'm getting chills now talking about it. Like,
really?
Like, I loved it.
I felt something during that last part where they show like she's dying, and like I didn't expect to feel something, but I did.
And it was like a very real, like, he gave up something. It was a selfless act, and he had been doing selfless act, but he hadn't like really fully been committed to it. But that was a selfless act, and I love that
because he was gonna bring back the wife for him, right? Like, that wasn't that. Isn't that what they said in the movie? Like, he would be bringing her back for him, not for his daughter necessarily.
And he thought it was like, no, I want to give you the chance to get to know your mother, but also like, she had a mother.
Yeah,
the whole time. It was Holga.
I think it touches. I love, like, me personally, I love found family. So like, I totally get what you mean. Like, I love me some found family.
Another reason queer people love D&D, because of that trope, baby.
Like, I agree. Like, I like anything that follows like the Spy Kids. Like, remember one thing: everyone's your family. Like, I'm gonna eat that up. I'm sorry. I am.
Spy Kids.
Yes, Spy Kids.
I understand. I pick up where you're putting down, even if Dimithri doesn't.
I mean, I know. I've seen all three. Well, I've seen the 3 Spy Kids. I never saw the 4th.
Everyone's your family.
Yeah, with Emily Osment, right?
Yeah, Emily Osment is the fucking person who says that.
I used to have a crush. I used to have a crush on Alexa Vega.
Vega.
Carmen?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It was Carmen. Everyone had a crush on Carmen. I had a crush on Carmen.
Remember when she was in Repo Man or whatever?
Wow.
The Zydrate comes in a little glass vial.
I'm weak. I do remember her being like a pop star at the end of Spy Kids 2, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, I had a crush on her. I was very young when I watched Spy Kids 2.
I kind of blame Carmen for my...
She was in Sleepover.
Oh, she was! I saw Sleepover too. I know what you're talking about.
Underrated movie. Damn. Repo the Genetic Opera. That's what she was in.
She's married to Carlos Pena, and then they both changed their name to Pena Vega. They combined their last name when they got married. What'd you say?
He's okay. I've never. Oh, he's in Big Time Rush.
Yeah.
He's very attractive. I'm sorry. I'm looking at him up now. He is.
Fellow
Damn. Also,
fellow
the
short
child
king.
star thing. Her on-screen brother in Spy Kids is married to
Meghan Trainor.
Meghan Trainor. Yeah, they have an adorable baby.
Junie.
I know.
Speaking of adorable babies,
Where
Edgin's baby. I love the daughter. I'm not gonna lie.
I thought she was good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like,
I thought she was good.
When she like starts laughing maniacally and then turns into the witch.
I was like, oh fuck.
Creepy. Super creepy.
It was. The actress did a good job, I think. There was a moment where I was like, I feel like she is kind of just filler for like another character's backstory. But then when she like really took agency with the boat scenes, I was like, oh, okay, she's like, I feel like if there was a sequel, she would come into her own a little bit more.
She has invisibility powers. Like she has her own power that nobody else has.
From the pendant, yeah.
Right?
That's true.
I'm trying to remember like the scenes about like asking the questions was hilarious. Personally, like, does anyone have a funniest moment in the movie?
Ooh.
There were a couple of good chuckles. I'm trying to think.
There were quite a few.
The Jonathan scene, like starting right off the bat, like in that first scene.
That was great.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say, I think it might be the dead man scene, because I just thought that was like very camp. Like I found it, like, you know what I mean? Like it was just so silly. Like,
I understand. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It was just that little bit of fun where I was like, oh, okay, like I can watch this. Like this is fun.
I loved the dragon, how they portrayed the dragon, and how it wasn't like the usual like the chonky dragon, and how it wasn't like the usual like this is a terrible like scary beast that's just gonna murder you all the time. I was like, no, he's an animal like any other. Like, you know, he can get chonky and cute.
What I appreciated,
where like, where are the dragons?
What'd you say?
Like in the Underdark.
Like literally, the dragon came at such a perfect point, because I was literally saying to myself like, this is Dungeons and Dragons. Where are the dragons? And then it literally came.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think that like they went above and beyond on the designs and the comedic bits. Like it wasn't a first draft comedy. You know? You could tell like they spent time honing each joke. And even the way like they could have just had it where he's a dragon and he's chonky and he can't move much. And that's that, right? They could have just been like, he weighs himself down, his wings won't carry his weight. He's like Heimlich from Bug's Life, you know?
But he was dangerous.
But he rolled.
Yeah.
His movement changed because of his type. He slid, right? These are things that we don't normally see with dragons. The rolling, the sliding, right?
He was still formidable. He was a little goofy and cute, but he was formidable.
Yeah.
I think that touches on something that like I think audiences really appreciate when you just don't treat them like they don't, like, how do I say this? Like when you treat your audience like they haven't seen like a bunch of these movies, and you're like, you know what? We know what you're thinking of when you see dragon, but like let's do something different. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like I feel like if they really did do that like big dragon thing, it would, maybe people would like make comparisons to like other shows, or like, you know what I mean? Unless you get the benefit of like in the future, if you do another movie, the dragon maybe could be more menacing slowly or something. Like the next one.
You know what I felt like it was? I feel like they didn't rely on the brand.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where it didn't feel like a first draft comedy, and like it didn't feel like they were just doing, like, it really did feel like they set out to make their own movie and it just happened. But I totally see with the dragon in particular, I think that shows, you know, because it was like funny and like, but it didn't lessen the stakes.
Yeah. There was a moment, and I pointed it, I knew it when I saw it the first time, the movie at all. But there's a there's a point, I don't know if I told you, Cam, but there's a point where Simon is facing the wizard. One has the hand and the other one has the hand, and it's like a Western style back to front sort of. They're facing each other in a duel. And the basket,
I remember when that came out and you started giggling.
The basket rolls like a tumbleweed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
they didn't need to do it.
Call out to tropes, but like it's not like, oh, it doesn't affect, the quality of the movie. It's just like a cute little nod.
It's not even the same genre.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a Western.
It bothers me more, but it does bother me when like I'm watching a movie and like there is something very clearly serious happening or something with a serious tone. Moment, you'll get a joke in a second, but we're gonna let you sit with your discomfort for like a second or two before we get to that. Like,
yeah,
there were still jokes.
The thing too that draws in like newer, like people who haven't played D&D before, is that it honors the audience member, and like that's one of the things that actually got me into film and animation, like, and kind of not a snob, but like very into the certain movies that I like, is they didn't treat their audience, Do you feel like there were moments of, on the opposite side, like where they dealt with the discomfort but still like kind of weighing it out with like a joke or like a softer tone?
I think when you're talking about things like death, right? Like when they did they're showing like the warriors' deaths and like how they all died, and it's kind of like a lighthearted tone. I mean, it's kind of hard to do things like that. Like, there's no way to make death funny. You know what I mean? If there is, it's really hard. You know what I'm saying? And like, I think that they did it as good as you can. Like, like they would kind of like show what happened to them, and then I didn't really pick up on any that like did that for me. I mean, did you find any like that?
Where there was like moments of
Edgin's
daughter had stuff like that. I also liked how they handled the father-daughter relationship. I thought that was pretty compelling because it wasn't like he is playing into that image of himself a little bit, where he's not thinking about, at the core of it, he is being selfish. But I liked how they had he's just so terrible. Or he's just how can you help it? He just wants riches. He left already.
No, I have to agree.
This stupid little fucking accent.
You could, and I think that like it kind of was in a funny way that like the daughter could kind of see that like it was, like you said, like kind of all about him, like
yeah.
I feel like, sorry, you were saying, Dimithri.
Oh no. At a certain, I think we're gonna wrap up a little bit earlier today, than previously allotted, because still testing out this internet connection that doesn't seem to be going perfectly,
Sigh.
Yeah. So, where do we hope this franchise is going in the future? Personally,
are we sure?
I want a series of series. I want a series of this group, and it could be called like storyline. And then there can be like a Dungeons and Dragons that's more about like war and knights and stuff like that. That's cool too. And there could be another Dungeons and Dragons series that's about like, I don't know, something. Anyway, the point being is a series of series. You know what I mean?
I like that idea of it almost slightly following different parties. I would say I feel like the story wrapped up pretty well with the end of this thing, although I can see a sequel happening.
I mean, they do say the one guy's gonna come back.
Yeah. I think it would be compelling if it was a different party, but we still saw some crossover with NPCs, not with the party. So if we saw our good
Zank?
friend Zank pop in and be like, I previously helped a band of thieves, something to a new party.
Yeah.
Just because I think the reason I say that is because I loved how they picked actors that worked so well with these character archetypes. I would love to see them expand into that, and I don't know how big of a franchise it would be. You know what I'm saying?
I could see these
So I think-
characters continue. I can definitely
Really?
see these characters. Yeah. I want to see Simon.
One more.
I want to see Simon and Doric, like, him try to court her, because she said okay. But, like...
I liked how they used the term courting and not, like, dating.
Yeah.
Specifically courting.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to see, you know, a little bit more of Edgin teaching his daughter some tricks, you know, now that she trusts him again.
I'd love to see Edgin's daughter actually form her own party.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, they could do that, like, over time, just keep switching some people out as they kind of finish off their arc. I mean, if I was writing a Dungeon Dragon, like, in her, like, going into battle, right? But then Edgin is a little bit worried about her. Like, Edgin maybe tries to protect Holga, and Holga's like, why are you trying to protect me? And then he's like, well, I mean, we brought you back to life, you know? Like, and then she's like, no, you know what I mean?
One more thing that I absolutely love that I just have to point out, that Edgin and Holga didn't have a romance.
I'm glad.
Yes.
I'm glad. Yeah.
I'm so happy that didn't happen. I'm sorry, off topic, but god damn, I just had to point that out.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
I kind of just hope they have like more movies, and I can see Holga and Doric. That's really all I need from it. Let me stick with those two, and I'll be good.
That's all you need.
Right?
Yeah.
I really want to see Zedek again. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just
Well,
wanna
he
see- I
did
just wanna
something with
see
Hugh
him.
Grant, right? He either took Hugh Grant or something in the end, because Hugh Grant gets away, Forge gets away, and then, like, Zenk pops up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't
So
know what
something's
happens.
happening. Also, we never learned about. Oh, he had this traumatic childhood, so I'd love to learn more about
That's
him.
what created it, though.
Yeah, but I wanna learn more. You know.
Yeah. We didn't get to
More.
see any of the
More.
zombies. Like, those zombie creatures that were in that flashback, we never saw.
We saw some of them fight them in the Underdark. You remember?
Oh,
the people who were
yeah,
like,
those
Zedek,
guys.
good to see you. We
Yeah.
saw some of those, but I would
Oh,
love to
even-
see like his parents.
Yeah. Well, with the cartoon, I don't know, because Habitz, you might not know, there was a Dungeons and Dragons cartoon back in the day. Those random characters that live till the end of the maze, those are the characters from the cartoon.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah. They're
It was a
very
good time.
wearing very specific stuff.
That's
The
how you know.
like deteriorating like jello thing, like that was, I don't know, that was just fun. Like when she's like, everyone hop in here, and then like turns into a snake, it solidified it. I was like, you're my favorite. Like
She had to put her finger
You
out
love a
the
good
other
druid.
end to create that hole. You notice that?
That's like,
When she went in,
Mhm.
her finger had to
She got
pop
ready
out
for
the
it.
end, and then she had to slither out.
Which I loved. I loved how many moments they had of like you could see them actively planning stuff, and there was moments of like all together, and then there was moments of like just trust me, bro.
Right.
Which I loved, and I hope if we're getting into a sequel, we see more of those like elaborate planning stuff, whether it be with the same party or with a different one.
Yeah.
they really also, the stakes feel like very high. Like when she's like, everyone hop in here, I was like, what is happening? What's gonna happen? Where are
They
you
could
going?
die.
Right. I was like, you just saw someone get like melted in here. What are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah. I want to thank both of you so much for coming on this show today and talking about Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I think it's amazing that we all saw it. I think it's amazing that we all liked it. That we all come at it from different, experiences, and that it was accessible to all of us. I think that's like a big
Right.
thing. Plugs and stuff.
It and say just go watch it. It's a fun time, not every movie is like as lighthearted as this.
These stuff, but just give it a chance. Trust the journey, and you will not be disappointed. I swear.
Yeah.
You can still like it even if you don't play D&D.
Yeah. And I think that it's a great example of a movie that can be good and entertaining. It doesn't have to be one or the other, right? It doesn't
love
have
that.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Thank you everybody out there for watching. Shout out to Ginger Snark. Ginger Snark is an amazing content creator. Go follow her wherever you can find Ginger Snark, TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff. Shout out to first timer Lala Cha Cha 248. Lala La Cha Cha Cha, I think. 248. Give us a like or a follow or whatever. It's first timer, so let us hopefully you're a fan still, and hopefully they can still hear me because this broadcast is going wackadoo. But we are recording, so this will be in the podcast. Shout out to Just Julio, who's waiting for Adnan, who is in the next Keeg Talks podcast episode right after this. So stay tuned for that. Before we get going, Habitz, where can we find you online? What do you got coming up? Anything you want to plug?
You can find me on TikTok at Habitz, and on Instagram 2_ and then Habitz. I don't know if I have anything coming up. I'm just kind of drawing right now, so if you want to come on my TikTok and watch me draw, you're more than welcome to pop in. Aside from that, I have my own podcast as well called Geeks and Peaks. Link in my bio. Feel free to check it out. But that's it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
I
Deadly bully.
Apologize to you because when we were in C2E2, we were like apart for like at the same table, but I was so mentally dead that there was like a solid 20 minutes where I was just like sitting like this, like recovering, and then I was like, okay, like, you're being rude.
No, it's okay.
I'm so sorry about it. Oh my God.
It is funny. We were all sitting at the same table.
Yeah, we were all together. We've met in person. You guys are real.
Yeah.
Right?
Cam, where can we find you? What do you got coming up? Anything you want to plug?
Oh, really quick, I want to give a shout out to La 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 Cha Cha 248 because I recognize that username. I see you, bestie. But let's see where you can find me. I am at Caminator.theanimator on Instagram, TikTok, and that's it. And then give me a message, shoot me a message, and I will work with you on that.
I like how your first choice was Caminator the Animator, and your second choice, because you couldn't get it, is Horfessional.
I have been Horfessional on Twitter since like 2015. Okay.
That's great. I mean, more power to you.
It's classic. It's classic. We love a good pun. What was I saying? Projects that I'm in currently. If you would like to catch up on my college D&D campaign, Tabletop Tavern on Twitch, all available. Game called Hours. It's a fun time. Highly suggest checking it out. But otherwise, I do goofy TikToks for fun, and I'm slutty on the internet, so you should follow me.
Watching us on Twitch, SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. You can find us on social media on at the Keeg Show on TikTok and Instagram. Those are big ones. We're also on Facebook and also on Twitter if that's your thing. But Instagram and TikTok are big ones at the Keeg Show. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know you're out there. Write a review. Do something.
If you hate us,
tell us. Let us know. The Super Mario Brothers movie.
I said science fiction double feature.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah. Fantasy. I would say it's like fantasy, right? Mario's like a fantasy. This is like, yeah. Thursday. So we had a lot of shows. So definitely stay tuned. Thank you, Habitz. Thank you, Cam. Once again, I'm your host, Dimithri Perera, and this has been the Keeg Talks, Dungeons & Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.